guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Hersa, also known as the Shellwe, and today I'm doing a part 2 to a video that I posted about a month ago that you guys really enjoyed. I'm gonna put the video somewhere here on the screen and I'm gonna link it down below if you want to check it out, but basically it was my favorite shimmer and matte from 10 eyeshadow palettes. Today I'm basically doing same thing from 10 different eyeshadow palettes. I even put a post up here on YouTube because I do want to use that feature more and communicate with you guys more here on YouTube as I do on Instagram, and asked you if you wanted to see a part 2 and if you had any requests for any eyeshadow palettes. Obviously, if I had them, I would include them in this video. A lot of you guys voted yes. I even got a request. So without any further ado, let's get started. I'm actually going to start with the palette that was requested by Nancy at Nancy Over Blends, and it's the Crow palette from Wicked Widow Beauty. This palette, you guys, I mean, I don't think I've ever mentioned this on my YouTube channel, but on my Instagram, my peeps know that I love this palette so much. Shimmers are amazing, mattes are amazing. There's not one thing that I will change about this palette. Like, if I keep talking about it, I'm just gonna be repetitive and talk about how much I love it. Now for my favorite shimmer and matte. Shimmer, very easy. Matte, not so much. So let's start with shimmer. My favorite shimmer is Vengeance. Very predictable. I know, but it's a dark shimmer with multi-colorful sparkles in it. That's Hersa in a shadow. I mean, what were we expecting? I will say all the shimmers in this palette are just so good and go so well with this color story. For my favorite matte, I'll walk you through my thinking process. So this palette has a pretty good range of lightest matte gray to darkest matte black. And then of course, there's some like pops of taupe in there, red too. But for my favorite, okay, this was tough because I love the two reds. I really do. But my favorite has to be this shade right here called Revenge. It's a darker gray with slate blue undertones. Very unique in my experience and opinion. You don't find grays like these very often. Thankfully, we find grays in a lot more eyeshadow palettes than we used to before. But something like this, not so often. That's why it's my favorite. I mean, again, not just for that reason, because it's a beautiful sultry shadow. And for those of y'all that don't necessarily want to use black all the time, these are like good alternatives to use as darker mattes. Once again, let me reiterate, I love this palette. And I highly recommend it to anybody that is looking into a color story that is very different and unique from what's out there. Next up, let's talk about my one and only Pat McGrath eyeshadow palette. This is Bronze Seduction, and this is what she looks like. The one Pat McGrath palette that I have yearned for years until I got it. Now, this was very easy to pick both the matte and the shimmer. I will put the shade names on the screen because I do not have the sheet that comes with like the eyeshadow names. I threw that out. Favorite matte has to be the Eggplanty Purple. It's perfect. Now I will say the matte selection in this palette is not huge. We only have like 3 true mattes, but they're deep enough that I think you can still work with this color story. But of course, the purple is my favorite. Now for my favorite shimmer, it has to be this like very, almost like sheer yellow iridescent. It's just so good and so layerable and truly transforms any eyeshadow that you put it on top of. And I will say this is the sparkliest shadow in this palette. Third palette is a favorite that went away and got resurrected just this year, and that is Sugar and Grunge, or should I say her new name, Sugar and Spite. I still have the old packaging because I bought the palette when it was available under this name. Let's talk about favorite matte and favorite shimmer because it was also very easy in this palette and very unpredictable for my particular taste. So my favorite matte has to be Ironic, this green right here. It's such a good, I don't want to say tennis ball because tennis balls tend to be a bit more vivid and a tad darker, but this one is such a nice vivid green. It's not pastel, something in between. I don't know how to describe it. Such a good green. This palette though has an amazing selection of deeper mattes, which I love, but I had to go with Ironic. It's just so good. For my shimmer, I'm also going to be a little bit unpredictable because I'm going to pick as my favorite the lightest shimmer in the palette, Bubblegum. The type of girl you want to chew all of my bubblegum. This is a very delicate pinky pearly shade. Every time I talk about the shadow, I call it a very bridal shadow because that's what it reminds me of, like a very traditional bridal look. So good. I freaking love Bubblegum. That pinkiness, that like very subtle pinkiness that it has, it just takes it there for me. Has to be my favorite. I've used it so much. I have a big dip in it compared to other shimmers. Like I am not surprised if I'll hit pan soon. That's how much I love it. Fourth palette is a palette from a brand that I got to try just this year, and it's Kryptein Cosmetics, and the palette is Atlantis, and oh, look at how beautiful she is, okay? I am so glad I finally got to try this brand. Since it released, I've been wanting it so badly. My favorite shimmer, of course, Poseidon is my choice. It is a deeper sparkly blue with a lot of denim-y tendencies to it. There's something denim-y about it. I think it's like the darker base that it has, and also the slightly lighter blue and lighter purple, I want to say, sparkles that it has make it appear so. It's my favorite. And my favorite matte right next to it, Whale. Again, a blue with slight denim-y tendencies to it. Not an indigo, not a purple, not a blurple, just a blue with a little bit of spice and a little bit of kick to it. Very predictable. I'm just realizing this video is most likely gonna be 20 minutes of me being predictable, but I love what I love, you guys. What can I say? Next up is a discontinued fave, and that is Club Nebula from Kaleidos. This is in collaboration with Angelica Nyqvist. This palette is just too iconic, okay? As you can see, mine is pretty beat up. I do have a backup to this. I love this palette. I love the color stories. Like Angelica and Kaleidos did that. And the packaging is also amazing. This was not very easy. For my favorite shimmer, I'm gonna go, again, I'm gonna be a little bit unpredictable, okay? You're My Only Hope, which is almost done. And you can barely see what it is. But it's a very pale lilac that appears icy on the eyes. But even though it appears icy on the eyes, you can still see that there is a slight lilaciness, pinkiness to it. That was a very roundabout way of saying that this is an icy pink sparkly shadow. Okay. You know, I was trying to be a little fancy with my wording here, but yes, that's what it is. The reason why I like it so much is because, especially when used in this palette that has mostly, I mean, it has lighter tones, but mostly mid to deeper tones, it creates such a high contrast when you use it with the mattes. And I don't know, it's just so glowy and pretty and delicate. I've also used it as a highlighter. That's why it's so beat up. That's why I've hit such a huge fan on it. But yeah, it is my favorite. I will say, again, and I say this every time when I talk about this palette, that these shimmers, when I first got them, they were like, oh my God, the sparkliest things I'd ever seen. Not so much anymore. I feel like Kaleidos has also improved their shimmer formula when they used to release makeup. Yeah, don't think I forgot about that. Y'all know I'm gonna rant about that every time I get the chance. But in general, these shadows still perform very well, even after 4.5 years of having this palette. Yeah, it's been a long time. The mattes are undoubtedly my favorite part. They make this palette unique and a classic, in my opinion. This was very hard. The mattes were the hardest part to decide about this palette. Favorite, Rock Hopper right here. Now, back when this palette came out in January of 2021, god damn, that feels like a lifetime ago. Cool tones were not as trendy, even though I was like yearning for some damn grays in eyeshadow palettes. Finally, we have so many, but back then, grays were scarce, okay? And Rock Hopper is very unique because it's something between a gray, a mauve, and a plum, all together in this eyeshadow. And I have yet to find a dupe for it. I have not found anything that is so gray, yet so mauve-y and purpley. It's a weird way to describe it, but truly that's the only way I can describe this particular eyeshadow. Like, yes, there's quite a few eyeshadows that have come close to it, but there's something about this blend of pigments that they've done to create this masterpiece that I just cannot get over how good this shadow is. Next palette is a palette that I've also never mentioned on my YouTube channel because I just got it this year, and it's a Smitten palette from Dieverune Cosmetics, and oh my God, the packaging is so cute. When this palette first released, I said word for word, bar for bar, this reminds me of Victoria's Secret from back in the 2010s. There's something about like the pinks and grays and the purples and the mauves in here that just make it so girly. It also reminds me of this perfume that Avril Lavigne had back in 2010, I want to say. I used every last drop of that perfume. Memories. Coming back to the palette. This is a gorgeous palette. Finally, Dieverune had a sale. It actually was on National Cats Day. Very fitting to, you know, put this up on sale too. So, of course, had to snag it. And, okay, this palette is so unique, not only in color story, but selection of mattes and shimmers together. Amazing quality. I've become a fan of the brand. My favorite shimmer, I was in between two. Catastrophe right here, which is a beautiful gold with a blue base, and Hysterical, which I don't know how to describe Hysterical. It's just so glowy and so pretty. Not quite an iridescent, not quite mid-tone either. Something in between. It's definitely, I want to say, a lighter shimmer. So glowy. Not only is it so glowy, it has like golden yellow sparkles throughout, like almost like very subtle, but not quite. I don't know how to describe it, okay? This shadow is tripping me up, and that's my favorite. Hysterical is absolutely my favorite. I don't have anything quite like it in my collection. My favorite matte has to be, of course, the deeper purple, perhaps. That's what it's called. Again, the cat puns in this palette are so freaking cute, and all the cat paws all over. I don't even have pets. I don't even have cats, but I'm a huge fan of the packaging too. Shout outs to D at D and Nicole, who said that this palette is very Hairsa-esque. I'm gonna borrow that expression because I feel like there's quite a few makeup items that I could describe as Hairsa-esque. So yes, this palette is absolutely gorgeous. And again, let's hear it for the packaging. I don't know, there's something so simplistic but yet so sophisticated, very cat-like. But yeah, those are my favorites. And Coalescence makes it back to my YouTube channel, you guys. I feel like I'm so repetitive with, you know, the stuff that I talk about, but this is my collection, okay? And I'm very proud of it, and I love the stuff that I have. But Coalescence, I received this in PR. Thank you so much to Miss Noopur and Bella Beaute Bar. This is a collab between Noopur and Bella Beaute Bar. This palette is just so good. This was also another one that I have big trouble choosing my favorites. I am having a Libra moment, although I'm not a Libra. I always like to roast Libras a little bit about their, you know, indecisiveness. But, you know, I have to decide. I brought it here, so I'm prepared to make hard choices. My favorite matte has to be Decay. And here's the thing. We have plenty of muted greens out there. We do, okay? But there's something about Decay, because it's a sagey green, but it's also grayed out at the same time. And it's the one matte that I found that matches my eye color perfectly. There's something so special about this particular matte. Okay, now here's the thing. Mattes are pretty one-dimensional. There's no shifts or any sparkles like a shimmer. You know, a shimmer shifts, a shimmer sparkles, blah, blah, blah. But there's something about mattes that have undertones of several different colors that make them so unique. Kind of like very similar as Rock Hopper, when I was talking about it, that like has undertones of like a bunch of colors. Same with Decay. Again, the sagey green and the gray together just make a perfect, unique matte. Layer a shimmer on top and you're good to go. I'm a big fan. Favorite shimmer. I can't believe I'm doing this because there's 3 particular shimmers that I'm a huge fan of, and this hurts. Okay, first shimmer, Balance. I even used this when I did my YouTube video on this palette. Balance is just so pretty, and I've used it in other looks too. Balance, although it looks pink in the pan, you can sheer it out to be just a beautiful, wet looking, sparkly ass eyeshadow. It has sparkles of green, blue, and a little bit of purple in it. It's so dimensional. It's just an amazing layerable eyeshadow. Second one, Harmony. Harmony is a perfect lilac-y shimmer. Again, very multidimensional, very shiny. Also, the shadow that I used in my most recent Elven Princess look. Again, I keep bringing that look up, but I'm so obsessed with it that I just can't get over it. And this, again, this shadow was a big component of that look. My third one, Jal. Has to be another favorite. I mean, it's a blue, so of course I'm gonna like it. There's something about Jal that is slightly purple, and there's quite a few like silver sparkles in it. Like, it's just such a unique shadow. I also I have quite a few sparkly blues. Are we shocked? But nothing resembles Jad. It's truly so unique. I'm having a hard time picking. God, I hate this. I hate doing this because I love all I'm even looking at the palette right now. Like, I love all these shimmers, you guys. I don't want to pick. I am not even kidding. I legit sat there for 3 minutes looking at all these 3 shadows to decide. And I landed on one with a lot of pain in my heart. Jal has to be my favorite shimmer. Yeah, it's just so good. But please do not forget that Balance and Harmony are right up there. Okay, both of them in the second place. I'm gonna talk about another discontinued palette. This is Poppy Storm from Titanium Foxes. This is their very first launch as a brand, and this is what she looks like. A grungy lover's dream, methinks. And the choices in here were, I would say, pretty easy. Let's talk about the mattes first. I have quite a few favorites. First one being Water Bomb. Water Bomb is a perfect tealy blue. Again, coming back to the point that I was making about Rock Hopper and Decay earlier on. I like when mattes contain undertones from several different colors. Then Poppy Blood right here. Perfect, gorgeous, deeper red, okay? It's just so, so, so good. The mattes in this palette are amazing. Third favorite is Poppy Loading right here, which is an olivey poopy green. I know that sounds disgusting, but it's perfect because it's almost chartreusey, but obviously a lot darker. So it's not quite olive either. Again, very unique. But my favorite, I have to say, is Poppy Blood. I'm sure I surprised you with quite a few choices. I'm not with this palette, okay? I'm gonna be very, very predictable. My favorite shimmer has to be Poppy Love. Now, out of all the red shimmers that I have in my collection, this is not the sparkliest, but it's really pretty and it's also gorgeous as a quick one and done. So for that reason, I'm gonna pick this one. I will say though, I only have 2 palettes from the brand, this one and Poppy Quiet, and I prefer the shimmers in Poppy Quiet a lot more. They're a lot sparklier, but again, Poppy Love is just really good, even as just a liner too. Let's talk about another Blend Bunny palette, and this is Divination from Blend Bunny X Robert Welsh. I've received this in PR. The shimmers in here are just amazing, okay? I'm not gonna lie, the shimmers are the hardest part picking a favorite about this palette. Same with the mattes, because the lighter mattes in this palette are just so good. Don't get me wrong, I love the mid-tones and the darker mattes too, obviously. But there's something about the lighter tones that just, I don't know, do it for me. And my favorite matte is In the Stars, which is a pastel yellow. Listen, you guys, I've been loving oranges and yellows very often recently. Not that I didn't love them before, but I feel like they're so underloved and underappreciated. This pastel yellow is very pigmented. It doesn't crumble. It doesn't layer thickly on top of the lid. I mean, of course, it's a Blend Bunny formula we're talking about, so of course it's going to be stellar. But yeah, back in the day, I remember using some pastel yellows that made my eyes look very lizardy. This is just amazing. Not a very hairstyle choice, I get it. It's not very hairstyle, but I have to say it's my favorite. Now for shimmers. This was really, really tough. This whole row right here has amazing, wet-looking, super sparkly shimmers. From this row, my favorites are these 2 right here. The taupey one, Rune, and the white one, Crystal. Very much reminds me of Fenty Beauty Diamond Bomb and Skin of a Killer from Bella Beaute Bar, the highlighter, because it's such a like sheer white, but in an eyeshadow form, obviously. It's just so good. But my favorite, we have to talk about my favorite. So let me walk you through some other faves. I love Rune too. I don't have anything quite like this tone. It's such a good taupey brown, in my opinion. It's actually one of the first few shadows that I dipped in when I first used the palette. That's how much, and you guys know I'm not a neutrals person, so like me saying that is huge. Oracle is another favorite because it's so freaking shifty, but my favorite, Hermit, right here. It's such a glossy, sparkly black eyeshadow. I mean, leaning a little bit gunmetal-y. I mean, hey, listen, I gave y'all the pastel yellow, okay? I surprised y'all there. Hermit is so, again, glossy and wet looking is the best way I can describe it. I freaking love Hermit. Such a great liner too. Again, if you're intimidated by dark shimmers, start with them as a liner, okay? They're much easier that way. Ease yourself in, okay? Then slap them on top of your lid. I'm on a campaign to get people to love dark shimmers. But yes, Hermit is my favorite. And last but certainly not least is an eyeshadow that I actually mentioned in my most recent video. Apologies, okay? This is, this is my collection. But it's Somber Garden from Shellwe Makeup X Freya. You guys know I quite like this palette. It's a perfect muted color story. And my favorite matte has to be this one. I even mentioned it actually on my other video. Again, it's a gray with quite a little bit of blue and slightly purple undertones in it. So again, coming back to the point that I made about other matte eyeshadows, I like when a matte is so unique, and this one is just so good. Now for my favorite shimmer, this one, obviously the darkest shimmer in the palette. I don't know how to describe this one, y'all. I think I usually am good at describing colors, not this one. There's so much going on with this particular eyeshadow. I would honestly call it a gunmetal with a lot of like blue and purple in it. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of multicolorful sparkles in it as well. It's so unique. I don't have anything like that in my collection. And again, it's the darkest shimmer in the palette. So of course, it's my favorite. And this is it, you guys. These were my favorite mattes and my favorite shimmers from these 10 eyeshadow palettes. I would do a part 3, but I don't have as many palettes to do a part 3 because a lot of my palettes are smaller with just like 1 or 2 shimmers. So I think it's not as much fun as like picking, you know, from palettes that have a lot more options. I'm sure someday, maybe in the near or distant future, I'll do a part 3. I really enjoy this. I don't know. It's like kind of fun. It's tough though, but it's kind of fun picking your favorites. But let me know if any of my choices surprised you. Let me know your favorite mattes and shimmers, if you have any of these palettes or any palettes in your collection, honestly. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye!